social media. And then I see the video of Swerve Strickland, saying F Booker T at the end of what was it?
Dynasty.
Dynasty, the AEW pay-per-view. And you know what? I'm not gonna even, get upset about that or anything like that. But I'm gonna give Swerve Strickland a little bit of advice, just a little bit. And that advice would be:
Soon, we are going to discuss Booker T's response to what Swerve Strickland said at the end of AEW Dynasty pay-per-view when he said F Booker T. Man, this saga still continuing on, but we're going to tune into it at the locker room. Do not miss out on this one.
I'm tired of being humble. I'm tired of letting people think they got a chance. The tribal chief is head and shoulders above everybody.
Hey, guys, we're here at the locker room. This is Toss the Ring Scandal, a.k.a. KDH. Turnbuckle King here. We'll talk about Booker T warning to Swerve after AEW Dynasty. Get the likes as you come to the locker room. We're about to air some dirty laundry on this one and still brewing more dirty laundry. Now, before we do go to Booker T's response to what he said to Swerve Strickland on his Booker T Hall of Fame podcast, we're going to first play the clip of what Swerve Strickland said at the end of the AEW Dynasty, at the end of the main event when the pay-per-view was pretty much done and everyone was going home. But let's see what Swerve Strickland said first, and then we'll react to that.
And I only make it this far is because of you people right here chanting, whose house? Every single city, every single arena, every stadium, whether it's the United States or if it's in London, in front of 50,000, 80,000, I don't care if it's 200. I always want to hear y'all chant, whose house? Whose house? Whose house? Thank y'all for being here. Thank y'all for the merchandise. Get home safely. And one last thing, just for my amusement, fuck Booker T.
As you can see, this old cornball fool Swerve still running his mouth with about Booker T. Now, this is after the, like I said, at the end of the pay-per-view of AEW Dynasty. This is pretty much when everyone was leaving and the show was over. Why Swerve decided to do this, for shock value or whatever reason, after Booker T had confronted him, I don't know. But this don't make no sense what Swerve doing. Swerve, you need to grow up. You need to get your stuff together. You need to focus on what's most important, and that's maintaining your position or trying to get better at AEW, because you are no longer AEW World Champion. You just competed for the AEW World Championship and lost. I know it's due to the Young Bucks interfering and all that. So other than that, though, Booker T, he did say on his podcast how he was surprised that his name was trending when he woke up that morning. You know, he thought the whole saga between him and Swerve was over, which is why Booker T had confronted Swerve in the first place. But what we soon going to play is Booker T after he confronted Swerve, and then, of course, his response to what Swerve said at AEW Dynasty here.
lo and behold, who was at the same event with me, actually as a part of the same party. And it was literally the first person I run into the morning of the event. And just like Swerve Strickland said, me having the energy when Vince McMahon said the N-word, I rest assured I had the energy when I saw him, because I approached Swerve Strickland and I had a conversation with Swerve Strickland. Let's talk about the conversation in depth as far as what I told Swerve Strickland. I had an offer to be on Vlad TV before as well, and I turned it down. And they called me back and they offered me money to go on Vlad TV, and I turned it down because I was not going to go on Vlad TV and be exploited. I wasn't going to go on, on Vlad TV and him make me look like a fool in front of the world. I was not going to do that, and I wasn't going to go on Vlad TV and say anything negative towards any black man that's ever been in this business, because I know how hard it is for all of them. I've been the first one to say any brother getting his bag, I'm all in, 100%. But I told Swerve Strickland to his face, how disappointed I am in him as a young brother, because all I did for Swerve Strickland ever was put him over and put him on a pedestal as being one of the best out there that ever did it. He deserved being the AEW champion. And for him to say something like that about me, I don't know if these guys think racism stopped in 1990 when I got in the business, but it didn't. Okay, you may not hear about a lot of racial issues with Booker T, because I handled racial issues head first. I opened doors. I broke down barriers for people like Swerve Strickland. Swerve Strickland perhaps would not even be here if it wasn't for me. I have to apologize for nothing that I've done in this business, because I've gone out there and literally represented in the ring, out of the ring, from day one all the way to this day in 2025. Okay, you speak on Vince McMahon and him saying the N-word. You want me to be angry black man in the company. You want me to not open doors and make spaces for people like you. That's what you want me to do. Swerve Strickland, I hope you're never going to be in the movies. I hope you're never going to be on a movie set, because you might hear somebody say the N-word, and if you got a problem with it, they're going to tell your ass to get the hell out of here, because this is a movie, all right? This is, and I'm upset. I'm upset because, more importantly, I'm disappointed at Swerve Strickland, because what I told him, and I'll repeat it, just like I repeated it to him, you got played. You got played, bro. You got played. You let that man play you and pit you against me and me against you. I don't know how many stories you ever heard about that on Vlad TV, but it's many of them. It's many stories out there about the black man against the black man, because Vlad is pitting them against each other. I don't know how many people you heard that got locked up from the federal perspective about going on Vlad TV. I don't know what the hell you doing on Vlad TV, first of all. What have you done to be on Vlad TV, okay? That's just my opinion on that. And as far as Swerve Strickland, just like I say, and me having the energy, the veracity, I got all that, because I'm still 6'3" tall.
Let's rewind. I woke up this morning and I'm wondering, why is my name trending? Why is my name all over social media? And then I see the video of Swerve Strickland saying F Booker T at the end of what was it?
Dynasty.
Dynasty, the AEW pay-per-view. And you know what? I'm not gonna even get upset about that or anything like that. But I'm gonna give Swerve Strickland a little bit of advice, just a little bit. And that advice would be, don't be talking about something other than the pay-per-view at the end of the night. You know what I mean? That's the main event. That's the last thing people are going to remember. Last thing people remember is me, Booker T, my name being said. And I'm sure if Tony Khan really don't appreciate the news, the headline not being what happened at Dynasty, and with all the matches, hopefully with the great card, all the great matches. But they're talking about Booker T. That just was a bad move. It was a bad move. And there again, he's got a lot of energy, at the end of a show, but I'm not that type, man. I'm from that school. If you got something to say to somebody, you say it in their face, you say it to their face. And, I'm going to leave it at that. You know what I mean? Hopefully Swerve Strickland will have a hell of a career. Hopefully he'll do very, very well in this business. But I'm going to keep stressing what I've been talking about for a long time as far as black folks, especially in the company that I work for. Man, go out there and get it on your talent. Go out there and get it on your merit. Nobody will ever be able to take it away, and no one will ever be able to say you got it because of only for your talent. That's it. You know what I mean? So I'm going to keep advocating for young guys, to go out there and perform at the highest level. Take what you want, because it's not going to be given to you. You got to take it. And the only way you're going to be able to take it is, through your performance, how good you really are inside the square circle, So that's as much as I'm going to say on that issue as far as Swerve Strickland goes.
Well, I think that's a beautiful response. And, I saw the video as well.
I saw the video as well, and you know what? I'm gonna follow your lead book, and I'm gonna keep it classy too. But I have a lot of thoughts and opinions on it. But to me, you know, man, if you have something you want to say, you say it to a man's face when you have an opportunity. And if you have an opportunity to say it to a man's face and you don't, and you say it behind his back, or when you think you're gonna get clout from it, there's a word for that. There's a word for that. You know what I mean? There's a word for the way that is portrayed and the way somebody acts. You know what I mean? I'll let people fill in the blank on what that word might be. You know what I mean? But Booker T, you know, you're at the Walker Texas Lloyd Arena this Saturday. You know what I mean? If somebody's got something to say to your face, you can say it there. I'll say it to somebody's face if they want to show up. You know what I mean? Somebody will show up, I'll say it. You know what I mean? Because after that display, I feel pretty good about handling myself.
You know what though, man? The one person that's laughing, you know, is Vlad TV. He's the one that's laughing, you know, because he got all this stuff, you know, started and stirred up. And now Swerve Strickland, you know, I thought this thing was over with. I really did. I swear to God, the last thing I thought about was waking up this morning to an FU.
He saw how he did it too. He like snuck it in there, dropped the mic, got the hell out of the ring.
I mean,
There's a word for the book. There's a word for that. I don't know what the word is, but there's a word for that. Somebody will tell me.
No, man, it's just this generation, man. This generation. Nah, like I say, I'm an advocate for all young black talent getting into this business, but I'm an advocate for so many more young kids than just black, you know, kids getting into this business. I'm an advocate for, you know, anybody that got the talent to actually, you know, make it to the next level. I'm gonna put a word in for them, and I think my reputation I've been solid, you know, throughout my career. Like I say, I don't publicize a lot of things, but the guys out there, they know if I've been, you know, on the side of, you know, righteousness as far as this business goes. They know what Booker T has done behind the scenes. I don't have to, you know, talk about it on social media. I'm not trying to get some extra, you know, brownie points or anything for anything that I've done, but they know, they know, and people like Swerve, you know, him and I, we cut from a different cloth, man. We totally cut from a different cloth, and there again, but I honestly, I wish nothing but the best for this dude, man.
Yeah, I feel that.
And I want to see him succeed. Will I ever say anything positive about him ever again? Probably not. You know what I mean? Will I ever put him over? You know, as far as, you know, being a good worker and someone who could perhaps transform this bit. No, I probably would never ever do that again. You know what I mean? Because I've learned my lesson. It's like
got it before.
It's like a dog. You know what I mean? I got a boxer downstairs, man, and we fight. We play, man, hard. I'm serious, man. He'll get the meanest growl that you've ever heard in your life. But trust me, when I put my hand in his mouth, he won't bite it. You know, he would not bite the head that feed him. You know what I mean? And so, there again.
You know, I just feel like, you got to have respect for the people who come before you. And I mean, in book, like anybody who laces up a pair of boots or even puts on a headset like me, you know, we owe a debt of gratitude to you and so many people who came out of that generation that made us love this thing and want to continue to be a part of it. And, you know, I'm playing around a little bit with some of the stuff that I'm saying, but I do really mean it. Like, if you got something to say, like, you can say it to a man's face and you can leave it at that. You know what I mean? I don't know what the idea was behind that. I thought that it was, you know, I thought it was disrespectful. And, but I too wish him nothing but the best. I wish him nothing but the best. I hope he's successful. 1,000 years of success. 1,000 years of success.
I ain't gonna bring personal beef to my job.
Thanks.
That's the last thing I'm gonna do is bring a personal beef to my job. You know, so I'm gonna leave it at that though. Stick around, guys. You in the Hall of Fame, man. We'll be back in a minute.
Now, that was Booker T on the Hall of Fame podcast. He spoke about when it first happened, of how he approached Swerve and everything else, and how we already know that he let Swerve know when he met up with him that he got played for a fool. And he also said on his recent Hall of Fame podcast show that at the end of the day, like he said before, that Vlad TV is laughing right now, and how basically his whole agenda was to put Swerve and Booker against one another, which is why Booker T said he was not going to do the Vlad TV interview, which Swerve did. And it's sad because Swerve Booker T did confront you, and the energy that you had before, you didn't say that prior when Booker T saw you. You probably got quiet and didn't want to say anything. But I agree with Booker T. This is definitely unprofessional. It's childish. And also Booker T said something important too. You're supposed to be focusing on the pay-per-view. I would say, my opinion, Swerve Strickland, your career is over. And the reason I say that because Swerve, you know, you going on a pay-per-view talking about WWE, Booker T garnering more attention towards that brand than your own. I don't think Tony Khan's going to take a liking to that, thus meaning that he's not going to really be pushing Swerve Strickland anymore. I don't see Swerve Strickland probably ever getting the AEW World Championship ever again. And let's be honest, the reason Swerve got that title in the first place because MJF was injured. Adam Cole, who probably would have got the title at the time, he was injured. So they made Samoa Joe transitional champion. Then he became champion. Let's be honest, that's the reason why he won the belt in the first place. I don't see any other reason why to put the belt on Swerve. He's all the intro. Now, don't get me wrong, Swerve is talented, but he's none but an intro, and that's all it is. And even his championship run was questionable because he didn't even defeat Bryan Danielson at All In. They let Jon Moxley beat him, and he's holding the title right now, and he couldn't beat Jon Moxley. So that lets you know where the company stands with Swerve Strickland right now. And I believe that with Swerve Strickland saying this about Booker T for no apparent reason, it made his spot in the company look way worse. So expect Swerve Strickland to go start all the way at the bottom at this point in his career. I don't see him going any further than he should have because it just don't help him at all for what it's doing. It don't help him at all. It's sad of what it's become for Swerve. And Swerve, I like Swerve, but honestly, after this whole endeavor of what he's done, he's just come off as a cornball and a coward and a wuss. And it ain't no Swerve's house no more. It's not your house no more. You ain't built anything because this was Swerve's house. Swerve's house he wouldn't have came at the whole thing like that. And Booker T was right for being professional and also standing his ground saying, hey, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to come at the whole thing like that. It doesn't make any sense to do that. He going to stay professional, and he not going to bring no nonsense to his job because he could have blown this up on NXT, you know, making a reference to Swerve, which I don't think he's going to do. But all Swerve did was make NXT and WWE ratings higher, especially at WrestleMania season, and then make AEW look worse. Because Dynasty was a subpar pay-per-view. None to brag about, let's be honest here. But other than that, though, that's all I have regarding Booker T warning to Swerve at the AEW Dynasty. You guys let me know, what do you think about the whole thing as a whole? Soon check out the content here at Toss Ring Scandal, a.k.a. KDH. Until then, you already know what it is at this point. It's OUT.